Alright, this is part 3 of our lesson on solving special right triangle combos. Alright, that's two special right triangles in a row kind of stuck together where we have to solve one triangle, find an answer, and then use that to solve the second triangle. So they're pretty tricky. Just guys, make sure you're not just copying off of me. This is the third video, right? Yeah, this is the third video. So if you've watched the other two videos, you should have the idea by now. So I encourage you to pause the video, try to do the problems by yourself first, and then you can run the video and see if you're getting it right. But if you're just sort of watching me do it, you're not really going to learn anything that way. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so we see the 60. That means we're dealing with 30, 60, 90 triangles here. Alright, so these are two 30, 60, 90 triangles. And one more time, let's remember how 30, 60, 90 triangles work. The short leg, if we call that x, the hypotenuse will be 2 times x. And the long leg will be x radical 3. So you see it's all about the short leg. If the short leg is 5, then the hypotenuse will be 10 because you double it. If the short leg is 5, then the long leg will be 5 radical 3. You get it. So we're given this 10. Alright, that makes this this triangle on the left easy to solve. Because they're giving us the short leg, that means the hypotenuse here will be 20 because you double it. And the long leg here should be 10 radical 3. Okay, so this will be 10 radical 3. Now, our target is to solve for this x right here. Now we've got one leg of the triangle where this is. So we should be able to do it. Now, just to help you focus, I'm going to cover up this other triangle for a second. Alright, so just focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on. So you're given the short leg. So once again, if you know the short leg, the hypotenuse is going to be double this. So the hypotenuse here will be 20 radical 3. Alright, it's double the short leg. Now, that's the hypotenuse. So this is the long leg. And the long leg is the short leg times radical 3. Alright? So I need to take this and multiply it by radical 3. So this long leg should be 10 radical 3 radical 3. Okay? You see what I'm saying? If this was 5, then this would be 10 and this would be 5 radical 3. Okay? I always feel like I'm not explaining this very well. Anyway, hopefully you're getting this. So radical 3 times radical 3 is just 3. Bring down the 10. 10 times 3, I've got 30. So that's going to be the answer right here. The answer is x equals 30. Alright, that's the answer for number 9. Alright, now just one more time. So remember, this is 10 radical 3. Okay, just to be clear. Because I feel like some kids I just feel you confused out there in the world. So ignore this for a second. So remember, the way 30, 60, 90 triangle works. Alright, if you already understood, just go on to the next problem. But if you're like, what is he doing? I'm just going to show it one more time. So remember, if this were 5, then this would be 10, but this would be 5 radical 3, right? So if this were 7, then this would be 7 radical 3. Okay? Now let me change colors for a second. So you understand that whatever is here. So the thing is, if this were if this were 10 radical 3, then this would have to be 10 radical 3 radical 3. Just like when this was a 7, this was 7 radical 3. If this is 10 radical 3, this will be 10 radical 3 radical 3. Alright, I hope that helped. Anyway, on to number 10. Alright, so again with 30, 60, 90 triangle. So sort of ignore the bottom triangle for right now. Just ignore that. Pretend like it's not there. So this is the hypotenuse, is 8. Alright, see the 60? That means this is 30, which makes this the short leg over here. Alright, if this is 8, the short leg must be 4, because the hypotenuse is double the short leg. And now this long leg down here, this is going to be 4 radical 3. Alright, it's always the short leg radical 3. Okay, now, man, I hate it when it jumps like that. Now I'm going to take this and move it out of my way. Out of my way. Alright, so we just found that this right here was 4 radical 3. I can erase this stuff a little bit. Now, this is the short leg. Now this becomes a short leg, okay? Because it's across from the 30. So if this is the short leg, then to get the hypotenuse, I'd have to double it, alright? So this is like n, this would be 2n. So if I double this, I'm just going to get 8 radical 3. So that's it. That's the answer to this question. X is 8 radical 3. You have to just double that short leg. Okay, great. That's how you do number 10. That's awesome. Okay, let's go find number 11. Okay, this is a little strange because I have this whole number on the long leg. And, you know, I'd be a lot more comfortable if this was like 5 radical 3. Then I'd go, okay, this must be 5, and this is 10. But that's not the way it is. So let me just cover up this lower triangle for a minute so we can focus better. Alright, if I cover that up, then look what's happening. Let's call this n. So the pattern over 30, 60, 90 triangle is starting from the short leg. If this is n, the hypotenuse here would be 2n, and then the long leg would be n radical 3. Now this is the part I care about because this is the only number I have to work with. So let's solve this little equation. Alright, I think I'll do it off to the side though. So what we have is 5 equals n radical 3. If I divide both sides by radical 3, alright, that's going to tell me what n is. So n, this is going to turn out to be 5 radical 3 over 3. But you can check it for yourself. 5 over radical 3 is 5 radical 3 over 3. Okay, so that's n. So that gives me that gives me the short leg down here. Okay, so that means this down here is 5 radical 3 over 3. Okay, now I'm going to uncover the part that I had covered up. In fact, maybe I'll move it up here and cover this up with it now. Cover it all up. Alright, it makes it a little hard to see this. Okay, so we just found this side right here. What happened to my thing? Thought it was going to cover everything up for me. Okay, this is a little... Okay, goodness gracious. So, looking at this little triangle down here at the bottom, we just found the hypotenuse, okay, which is 5 radical 3 over 3. And we're supposed to be finding the long leg over here. Now they use x, where we usually use x for the short leg, but whatever. So the pattern, since they already are using X, I'll use a different letter. I'll use P. So we usually start with a short leg. If the short leg is P, then the long leg here would be P radical 3, and the hypotenuse here would be 2P. Okay, so the hypotenuse would be 2P. That means 2P must equal this mess. So let's do this equation off to the side. So I've got 2P is equal to 5 radical 3 over 3. So if I want to find P, I could just divide both sides by 2. Okay, and that's going to give me what P is. So I could put this in my calculator. So we need to do 5 radical 3 over 3 divided by 2. So I've shown a couple ways to do that. Now notice how 5 radical 3 over 3 is already in the calculator. So if I want to, I can just go ahead and do divided by 2 right now. And that gives me 5 radical 3 over 6. Right? Or I could just type it all over again. But either way, I get 5 radical 3 over 6. So that's P. 5 radical 3 over 6. Now that is not the answer. Alright, P is the short leg. We're supposed to find X here, which is the long leg. Now this is P times radical 3. So I need to take this answer and multiply it by radical 3. Alright, it's P radical 3. It's this radical 3. Okay. So P radical 3 is going to equal all this junk, 5 radical 3 over 6, times radical 3. Okay, yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm multiplying by radical 3. So I already have this stuff in the calculator. So again, I could just go times radical 3. Okay, and so the answer is 5 over 2. Okay, so that's the final answer. X is equal to 5 over 2. Hold on, I want to do that in a different color. Okay, X is equal to 5 over 2. Alright, somehow I just don't feel like this is very clear. So just please understand, we have right here that X is equal to P radical 3, right? That's what we had at this stage. And then we found P. So that meant that X was equal to, now I'm going to take this stuff, because that's P, and I'm going to substitute it in. So that's why X is equal to 5 radical 3 over 6. Okay, that's like this stuff right here. That's P times radical 3. Okay, so I could put that in my calculator. This time I'll do it from scratch. So I have 5 radical 3 over 6. So I could go 5. Well, let me start from fraction mode. I can go 5 radical 3 over 6. One more time. 5 radical 3 over 6. Okay, and then I'm supposed to go times radical 3. Okay, so I can either go times radical 3, or I can just stick a radical 3 on it. And I get 5 over 2. Okay, and so that's X, and that's what we're looking for. Alright, this is taking too long. So one more for this video, number 12. Last one. Alright, so we got this 30, 60, 90 triangle. They're giving us the long leg, okay? So the way this works, let me cover this up for a second so we don't get too distracted. Okay, let's cover that up. Alright, now the pattern of a 30, 60, 90 triangle works like this. We start with the short leg, which is across from the 30. I'm going to use n since they're using x elsewhere. So the pattern goes like this: n, and then the hypotenuse is 2n, and then the long leg would be n radical 3. So let's make this equation happen. Okay, so if I want to find n, and maybe I'll do this off to the side. So let's solve this. N radical 3 is equal to 9 radical 6. To find n, I need to divide both sides by radical 3. Okay, so that's going to give me n equals 9 radical 2. Alright, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So radical 6 divided by radical 3 is radical 2. So that's n. Now n is right here, okay? So that means this short leg is 9 radical 2. So I can replace it. So this is 9 radical 2. Now the hypotenuse is 2n. It's double this. So instead of 9 radical 2, this will be 18 radical 2. I'm just doubling the n. So this will be 18 radical 2. Okay, now let's uncover whatever I covered up and go from there. Alright, so let's see, let's move this away from here. Alright, so note, we just found this side right here, alright? We just found, see, 9 radical 2, that's this side right here. So that's what we found. So I'm going to cover up this part of the triangle now so we can focus better. And I'll just erase all this. Okay. So this is what we have now. 9 radical 2 is this long leg, alright? Because here's the 90 degrees. This would be the 30 down here. So we are looking for the hypotenuse. Okay? Now let's use the pattern again. Alright, so once again, the pattern of a 30, 60, 90 triangle is starting from the short leg, and I'm going to call this P, okay, because X is already taken. So if the short leg is P, then the hypotenuse here would be 2P, okay, and the long leg would be P radical 3. So I would have P radical 3. Okay, that's key because I can solve this little equation and find P. So the way I will solve this little equation is by dividing both sides by radical 3. Okay, so if I do that, that's going to tell me what P is. So I got to do 9 radical 2 divided by radical 3. Okay, so 9 radical 2 divided by radical 3. And that is 3 radical 6. So I've got 3 radical 6. That's P. Now that's not my final answer because X is 2P. Alright? In other words, 2 times 3 radical 6. Okay? Well, that's just going to be 6 radical 6. So X is equal to 6 radical 6. And that, my friends, would be the answer to number 12. Okay, let's go ahead and stop that video here. Alright, we have one more video coming, and I'll see you on the next video.